Hello and welcome to this screencast. I'm going to be demonstrating how to add a featured member to the HiER site. The first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we're logged in and that we have administrator privileges. You need to be a site administrator to perform this task. The first thing that we want to do then after making sure that we're logged in as a system administrator is navigate to the Contribute section. And then we want to create content. And if you're a system administrator, you will have all these additional options here. And we can create a featured member. So just for illustration purposes, I've got a featured member here. And you'll notice that the title is usually something snappy to direct attention to this member, not necessarily their name. And then the subtitle is the member name and their school or institutional affiliation. So I'm just going to type in a sample title, and the subtitle will be the member name and member institution. Okay, and now we need a image to associate with our featured member to appear on the home page. Let's browse our file system. I'm going to pick this clownfish for the purposes of illustration, and then we hit upload. And there we go. And now we have an interactive cropping tool that we can use to define what image we want to appear on the home page. We can crop some portion of the image that we choose. And this cropping tool will ensure that whatever image we use will conform to the dimensions that we need to present this nicely on the home page. Now, one thing to note here is that if the resolution of the image is too low, the image will be upscaled and it will have a chunkier pixelated appearance. So you want to consider that in soliciting images to be featured on the home page. Anyway, so I think I'm happy with that cropping selection. There you can see the preview of what we've cropped there. It appears here interactively as you move this cropping window around, and the cropping window is moved by just picking these handles and the hand tool and moving it around. Okay, and now we need a bunch of text here for our feature story associated with this member. And I'm just going to get some lorem ipsum text here, generate some paragraphs. Okay, and now in this case I'm not typing this out, I'm actually just highlighting this with my mouse, and I'm going to copy and then paste this into the dialog. So that's just a Command-C on a Mac or Control-C on a PC. And I'm going to go back to my Create Featured Member web form here, and I'm going to Command-V, or that would be a Control-V on a PC, to paste. Okay, so there's my sample text. You can type it in here, and this is a rich text dialog, so you can do whatever formatting you want to here. And then we want to ensure that the language is correct. And if you want to, right here or right now, you can choose to publish the featured member, or you can leave the publishing step until later on. I think what I'll do is not publish it to demonstrate how you would publish it. Okay, so now I'm saving this. And as you can see, we've got featured member, sample title, which is the name of our title, has been created. So here we go. There's our featured member. And we can now see here that the node queue for featured members has already been populated with this item. It's already been added to the queue, but it's not going to show up on the home page until we publish it. So how, might you ask, do we publish it? Well, one way is to go down, go back to the edit. You can edit it here and publish it. Or alternatively, what you might do actually sometimes is just create these and not publish them and then want to go back to them later on. And the way to do that is to go into this content management section, content, list, and so we will list all of our content. And there it is. It's actually the most recent thing that we've created. So featured member, not published, as we can see here. So you can just tick that and select publish and then update it and it will be published. Or you can go and edit it here and go into the edit, so it takes you through to the edit dialog and you can publish it here if you wanted to make some last minute changes. Just going back there to our list, one thing to note too is that you can select the type here and type featured member and then filter our contents so that all we see are featured members here now. That can make it easier to locate the one that you've published. Oh, and then the other thing, of course, you can use this for filtering sorry, I'm just looking for the okay, status is unpublished. So that would give us the list of the unpublished featured members. We can update that. Okay, and so, oh sorry, I select published, want not published. Refine, sorry. Okay, so now we've got the type is featured member and the status is not published, and that will give us a list of all the ones that aren't published. Now, something to understand about how this content filtering tool works is that if you've got these constraints on what content is being listed, you need to reset if you want to engage in a new search. So reset, and now it's listing all content again. It's a great way to isolate the content that you want to manage. And if you haven't been using this for content management until now, that's just a quick walkthrough of how that works. I would assume that you had been using this prior to viewing the screencast, but maybe you've been using some other means of managing the content. But this is a nice and handy way of doing that. You can isolate by content type, abstract, all the sort of content types are here. And you can isolate them by that and by their status, published, not published, and so on. And by language as well, which can be very useful. All right, so let's go ahead and publish our sample featured member, and now you can see that the status has changed to published here. And so if we navigate through, we can see that this has now been published, and it should be showing up on our home page. There it is. So I'm going to demonstrate in a separate screencast how to manage the node queue, but that's really all there is to it. Actually, and in fact, for the node queue for featured member and featured project, it doesn't really matter what order they are in the node queue. That's not going to determine whether they show up on the home page or not. They just need to be published to show up there. And there's no ordering or anything in which they show up. They are randomly selected from the node queue and appear randomly. So if you want something here like a featured project or a featured member not to be in the pool, to be displayed on the home page anymore, you will have to remove that featured project or featured member from its associated node queue. I can go through that actually right now. Why don't we, since we're talking about it? So yes, then we would pick our item here, and here it is. And we could get that through that content listing that I've just shown you how to use. And then you would go to the Node Queue tab here, and you can, if you like, remove it from the queue. Okay, and so now we've removed that from the queue, and it will no longer be in the pool of things to, be sampled from in presentation on the home page. Now, if you change your mind and you want to add it to the queue again, of course, you would just navigate here and you would, quote, add it to the queue, and there it is. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about creating featured members in the screencast. I hope this has been helpful, and thanks for listening.